Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over the 5 best underrated gold farms that you can do right now. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so today we're going to be going over the 5 best underrated gold farms. These are ones that I generally think that most people actually just palm off and have all forgotten, and these ones actually are really good if you do them correctly. That being said, let's move on to our first one at number 1. Now this one is generally one that you would want to do on a casual basis, and this is the Garn Nighthow farm. Now this is for a 100% drop chance mount, and this is located within the Frostfire Ridge. What you're going to be wanting to do is go over to Not Karosh, and this rare has a 100% chance of dropping the Garn Nighthow mount. Overall, the Garn Nighthow averages anywhere from around about 300 towards over 1,000 gold per mount, and the respawn timer of Not Karosh is around about 20 minutes. Overall, you do not want to be doing this on an hourly basis, so sit there for an hour and camp the actual rare. This is mainly due to the fact of when you have a chance, stick an ult there, and just log in every now and then when you have the time. This adds up quite considerably over the next week or so when you just have some spare like 5 minutes or so every now and then. Just log on, kill Not Karosh, get the mount, and then by the end of the week send over your stockpile of Garn Nighthows and just put them on the auction house. These sell incredibly fast due to the fact that it's a high sell rate mount, as well as the price is really cheap, and also it's a mount, so people want mounts. And with a lot of players actually joining the game recently, that means people are more or less going to be wanting to get a hold of a load of these mounts, and for a very cheap mount, this is definitely a nice looking mount, so people will tend to gravitate towards that. So definitely, if you are a gold maker and you have a spare ult to actually farm things up, I would highly recommend actually going over to the Frostfire Ridge and farming this up. So from all of that, let's just jump into our next one at number 2, which is the Primal Mana farm. Now, I remember back in Legion when the Tomes of Illusion actually first came out, and everyone went ahead and trying to farm up these old world mats. Very much enjoyed and loved that concept of going ahead and farming up old school items. I wish they would actually redo that as well, especially with like Shadowlands stuff. Imagine if you could actually do stuff like that, but I digress. That being said, Primal Mana can be farmed up within Netherstorm, and what you're going to be wanting to do is by heading over towards one of the floating islands. What you're going to be wanting to do here, however, is going to gather up and burn down all of the elemental based shades and all that stuff gathered around the actual area. The humanoids do not drop motes of mana, but the spirits that are dotted around the area do. What you tend to do is if you go around in like a square-esque shape, then you'll be able to kill them all in one fell swoop, and by the time you get round to the actual loop of all of that, they should have respawned, which is great for you because then you'll never run out of mobs when actually going around doing this, and you get a load of motes of mana, and that means you can turn those into Primal Mana to sell on the auction house. Coincidentally, you can use this to craft the Tomes of Illusions, but also I generally like to put those towards just on the auction house flat, as they tend to go for a lot more gold, and for my gold per hour wise, this is generally something I'd highly recommend doing if you are at a loose end and you don't want a hell of a lot of competition when you're actually doing this. So highly recommend this farm in the grand scheme of things. That being said, let's move on to our next one at number 3, which is the Royal Jelly farm. This one is located within Storm Song Valley, and I did talk about this quite a bit last year, but overall the Royal Jelly farm is generally a very good farm in order to do. This is because it is used in order to get reputation with the Honeyback Hive. You have to be Alliance in order to farm this up, but what you can actually get from this is the Honeyback Harvester, which is a mount, which is the Bumblebee mount, and overall people are willing to pay stupid amounts of gold just to avoid farming up all this Royal Jelly in order to get a hold of this mount, as the mount is unique to that specific faction and it's only one of a kind. That means that people will spend a premium for the Royal Jelly in order to negate the leveling process when it comes towards their reputation gains, and that means you can profit from their laziness and make a hefty chunk of gold from that. Aside from all of that, that is a very easy farm in order to do. I would highly recommend getting your reputation up, as well as you can also get the goggles in order to actually pick jellies on your actual mini-map, much as you would with mining and herbalism. So I'd highly recommend getting your reputation up and getting that mount first, and then using that in order to actually get a hold of your jellies. Coincidentally, all you have to do is just start the starting quest, and once you are able to pick up the jellies, you can do it without the goggles. It's just a lot easier with the goggles overall. Aside from all of that, let's just jump into our next one at number 4, which is the Dwarven Dice Farm. Now, I know a few people have mentioned in the past that dices don't sell, but I disagree. Dices do sell, they just take a little bit longer than most to actually sell on the auction house, especially if you're on a high pop server. They tend to sell moderately fast. I tend to find this happens with the Dwarven dice and the Gnomish loaded dice. Worn Troll dice, does take a little bit longer than those, but I find that the Dwarven dice is the fastest of the selling of the 3 Dwarven dices. This is a rogue specific farm, and what you're going to be wanting to do is go over to Ice Crown. What you're going to do here, however, is go into Stealth, and you're going to want to pickpocket all of the mobs in a circular-esque fashion. What you can do is you won't ever run out of mobs, but if you want to stay in the first area, you will want to actually kill the mobs and reset them. But if you do a loop around the actual harbour, once you get to the beginning again, they will have reset their pockets, so you can pickpocket them as well. No killing of these mobs is required, unless you do tend to want to reset those mobs and try and see if you can get any transmog from that as well. But I tend to just do the loop of the harbour until their pickpockets have reset, so then I don't have to worry about that. All I'm doing is pickpocketing a load of guys. Along with that, I have actually left a macro in the description, which is a pickpocketing one where you mouse over a specific mob and it will just pickpocket it for you if you wish to do that farm. Aside from all of that, let's jump into our last farm at number 5, which is the Tome of Polymorph Polar Bear Cub. Now, this one is a mage specific farm, and I don't really talk about mage specific farms overall that much, as I generally don't really farm with my mage overall. I use him mainly for my enchanting and tailoring, but I wanted to actually put this one out there because this one is one of the highest valued ones in the region base, and also it sells quite well in the grand scheme of things. It has the highest sell rate of all of the other different types of tomes of polymorph, and this gives the mage the ability to turn anything they polymorph into a polar bear cub, hence the name. What you're going to be wanting to do here is go over to Dragonblight, and all you have to do is kill the grizzly bears around the area and see if you can actually get that to drop. It does take a while for it to drop, but once you do, it's going to sell for a decent chunk of gold, so you will be able to recoup those costs. However, this does take a while and actually to farm up, hence why it goes for a certain amount of gold. And obviously, because it's a mage specific farm, then only mages can actually farm this up, which brings rise to a higher value for that item, and also a higher value for that item as well, as only mages can learn the polymorph of the polar bear cub as well. So that being said, that is pretty much everything I have to say for the 5 best underrated gold farms at this moment in time. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.
If you want to support the channel and help make the channel even better, then why not check out the Patreon? Members get additional info, gold making resources, and Patreon specific content. The link is located in the description down below. Thank you and have an awesome day.